Good evening, Nigeria, and welcome to Politics Now special on LN 24/7 live from our studio here in Abuja. I'm your host, Mono Balagbogbo, and tonight we mark 26 years of Nigeria's unbroken democratic journey with a deep dive into two critical topics shaping our nation's political landscape. So let's roll our first card. We'll be unpacking President Bola Tinubu's Democracy Day address. And I mean, there's just so much reactions from the opposition. We've heard from Atiku Abubakar and also Peter Obi. So we will explore his defense of multi-party democracy, the symbolic weight of national honors, and the provocative tone of his remarks. Those are some of our talking points, and I believe we would have enough time to be able to do justice to the conversation. Well, joining us for this segment is esteemed public affairs analyst Nnamdi Abana. We have him live with us from Abuja. Good evening, Abana, and thank you so much for being with us on the show tonight.
Yeah, good evening.
And I must say happy birthday to you. Your birthday was a few days ago, so happy birthday to you, and thanks for finding out time to speak with us. Okay, we'll come back to you. So our second topic, we will be tackling the issue of the democracy, this time around looking at pathways to a stronger democracy. You know, at this particular period in time, 26 years of democracy, there's been so many criticisms of how we got it wrong, but what's in the past is in the past, and that is why tonight I want us to spend some time to talk about how we can make progress. So we're running our talking points down. We're looking at strengthening electoral integrity, addressing insecurity and governance accountability, which I think is key, and also promoting inclusive political participation. And of course, our guest is live with us all the way from Canada, Chidi Lemchi. He is a political strategist, a lover of Nigeria in the diaspora, but very, very much in touch with everything about governance, politics, and of course, he's live with us. If we can say hi to him, and I know we'll come back to him later on the show. Thank you so much, Lemchi, for being with us tonight. Okay, we'll try to establish connection with him, but good to know that he's connected with us. So stay with us for a night of bold conversations, actually, compelling insights, and I want you to voice your thoughts on our topics. We've got some polls, two polls in particular on X, so you can go to our X handle. Hopefully we can scroll our social media bar so that you can find us on X, follow us, and then make your comments on the polls that we have right there. All right, we'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll begin to unpack the president's democracy address. You don't want to miss this. Stay with us. What makes the political system what it is today? What are the recurring issues? The tussle for power.
An extremely problematic area.
The tension. The instability of the system. Join LN 24/7 as we take you inside the local and international political arena in the world of politics.
The golden age of America begins right now. I will very simply put America first.
Watch Politics Now on LN 24/7.
Don't miss Politics Now.
Many thanks for being with us again. Well, let's get right to it. President Bola Tinubu's Democracy Day address was a bold declaration of his administration's commitment to democracy, but it also stirred controversy with sharp jabs at the opposition. Let's unpack this with public affairs analyst Nnamdi Abana. Well, of course, we're looking at our first talking point, Tinubu's commitment to multi-party democracy versus opposition's criticism. Well, Nnamdi, Tinubu insisted Nigeria will not become a one-party state, calling democracy the best form of governance in the long run. Yet, opposition leaders like Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar warn of authoritarian tendencies. Now, away from politicians, even civil society rights organizations have also been complaining about this. But let's roll that soundbite of the president again.
For any instance in the present and at no future junction shall I view the notion of one-party state as good for Nigeria. I've never attempted to alter any political party registration with INEC. Equally, my dear friends and colleagues, we cannot blame anybody seeking to bail out of a sinking ship, even without look at my political history. I will be the last person to advocate such a scheme. In year 2003.
All right, Nnamdi, thank you for being with us. So let me go straight to my first question. How credible is Tinubu's commitment given the opposition's concerns about media clampdowns and electoral irregularities? Because we don't want to take away from the president's journey so far, his fight for democracy along the likes of Nadeko and also MKO Abiola. So he was very clear that, it is something that is not going to happen in his time. Do you agree? Hello, Nnamdi, are you still with us? Okay, well, we can't hear you. If you could log out and then log in so we could be able to converse with you very well. Okay, if Lemchi is with us, let's cross over to Canada specifically. Lemchi, can you hear me? Okay, well, we'll just have to dial that down a bit, and hopefully, I guess, we'll be able to connect with us on the show. But that was just something that I feel like the president had to address, because the conversations prior to Democracy Day has always been about whether Nigeria is becoming a one-party state. But let's take this quick break. We'll be right back. Let's tidy up our connections with our guests to stay with us.
What makes the political system what it is today? What are the recurring issues? The tussle for power.
An extremely problematic area.
The tension. The instability of the system. Join LM 24/7 as we take you inside the local and international political arena in the world of politics.
The golden age of America begins right now. I will very simply put America first.
Watch Politics Now on LM 24/7.
Don't miss Politics Now on LN 24/7.
Thank you so much for staying with us, and we're trying to unpack a lot of things that the president made mention yesterday at the National Assembly, which is a welcome development, so to speak. And do recall that before now, the Senate had already made mention of the fact that they want to institutionalize the democracy address, that every year, June 12th, the president will come to the National Assembly to speak to the nation and address the nation. On Thursday, there was supposed to be an early broadcast by the president at 7 a.m., but that was cancelled. Also, the parade was cancelled for that meeting at the National Assembly, and it was just quite the gesture from the president talking about his impact and his work with all the patriots who some have been regarded as national heroes. But something that was very striking at that particular ceremony on Thursday was the conferment of national honors on so many persons, even including those who were ignored in terms of having them get that recognition that they duly deserved. A lot of persons died in the fight for democracy. But away from that, there is a lot of concern that we very important. So that's something that is very, very important there. But let's see if our guests are back with us. Mr. Abana, are you still there? Hello, Abana, can you hear us? Okay, he's not with us. Let's see if we can cross over to Lemchi again, and hopefully we have a better connection this time around. Oh, okay, well, so we'll just have to make do of what we can so far, talking about looking at the key things the president made mention of. And of course, as any other national address, you would have the president, talk about some of his achievements so far. So let me come to Lemchi. Good to have you with us again. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, man. How are you doing today?
I'm excellent and great. Were you chance to listen to the president's address on Thursday? I'm sure you did.
Oh, well, partially. The reason why the part where I listened to actually was where he was talking about political PDP, of course, that and the other opposition parties that are in disarray, and how happy he is to see them in disarray. So that's the part that I watched, and I wasn't impressed with that statement.
Agree with those who have this narrative that Nigeria is becoming a one-party state. Did you share that concern?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'm very concerned that we are gradually becoming a one-party state. Now, Mana, this is my concern, right? The president, like any other person that have been part of the APC government since 2015, are members or used to be members of NADECO and PRONACO, if you remember, right? And these were people who talked a lot about political activism. They were pro-political. Hello, it appears I lost you. Are you there? Hello?
Connection is perfect. I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Yes, I can hear you right now. Now, I was saying that the president, like many of the people who have been in government on the APC side since 2015, used to be members of Pronaco, Nadeco, and also Radio Kudirat, if you remember. Now, I expected more from these people that being, pro political development activists, that they would have given or they will allow a culture where various opinions, various political parties thrive. But that is not the situation today. A president who claims to be a Democrat or a pro-Democrat rejoicing over the dismembering of opposition parties and saying that he's happy, more or less, having Nigeria becoming a one-party state. History shows us that there is no country that is literally a one-party state that has become successful. Not in history, not in recent history, not in ancient history. We all know that they all tend towards autocracy, right? They all end up becoming. We all end up becoming. They all end up becoming tyrants, and is that what the president is trying to do here, or trying to achieve here? Yes, go ahead. If you can hear me, I can't hear you. It appears you're frozen.
Something that he is doing, but as a politician, I mean, it's to his own benefit, so to speak. So, but that seems to be a little bit confusing for people to separate. But do you see it that way? Okay,
now, Mana, yes, I agree that as a politician, is something that he would want to celebrate. But listen, Nigeria is bigger than all of us, right? Nigeria is bigger than both the politician and the person who is not a politician. Now, if as a politician, the president sits and says that he's happy to see his opponents or opposition parties dismembered, he should be worried. He should be worried that everybody who is around him, is a yes member. Everybody who is around him are sycophants. He should be worried. Look, let me tell you something about ancient Rome. In ancient Rome, Caesar used to have, one of the Roman generals, not Caesar, I beg your pardon, used to have a slave that sits or stands on his chariot. So whenever they are coming back from war and the city is, they are all rejoicing, the city is in joy and all that. You know the work of this slave? The work of this slave is to keep telling the emperor, remember, you're a man. Remember, you're a man. The whole idea is to get the emperor not to be swayed by the opinion or opinion of people or sycophants. And that is exactly what we are seeing today. Our president getting swayed by the opinion of sycophants. So I was worried, and he should be worried. In fact, if he's not worried, people around him are not.
The president equated some of the criticisms of the opposition as due to the fact that they lost the election. Do you think that is a wrong way to see comments and criticisms that's coming from the opposition?
This is not about opposition losing election. We're talking about inflation ballooning. We're talking about people buying bathroom slippers for 4,500, and in some cases 5,000 naira. We're talking about people unable to pay their rent. We're talking about people losing their jobs. We're talking about families not being able to cater for themselves. We're talking about people not being able to pay the parents not being able to pay the school fees of their children. These are the things we're talking about. We're talking about food inflation, where the average Nigerian is struggling to eke out a living. So this has absolutely nothing to do with losing an election, but with the survival of Nigerians. That's exactly what we are talking about. So the president, looking at every criticism from the position of people who lost the election, they should go and sit down and wait for the next election, doesn't speak well of the president and those who surround him, who keep issuing all such statements.
Okay. Now, at that same event on Thursday, many of them, I think Harry Uwosu and so many other persons, even some of them in his cabinet, including the lawmakers, some of the lawmakers, Akpabio and the speaker, and critics have raised concerns about several individuals who were reportedly not honored by the president at the Democracy Day celebrations, and they've raised concerns about the issue of the fact that I mean, there's some persons, that did a lot for this fight for us to have this democracy. But it's worth noting that the presidency did issue an apology for mistakenly including two living individuals, that is Paruben Fashionati and Dr. Edwin Madunagu, in the posthumous awards list. However, this correction was, due to an error probably on the published list and not an addition to those initially omitted. Now, let's talk about these honors. Are these honors a meaningful nod to Nigeria's democratic history, or are they overshadowed by ongoing economic hardships, with 33% of Nigerians living below the poverty line? Now, on that particular Thursday, we had a live broadcast on our station where we, looked at some of the thoughts and comments, and we had legal luminaries, professors, I think almost 4 of them. That was around 1 p.m. on Thursday, and there was this back and forth and argument, on what was needful and what was not needful. Now, about those who fought for democracy, everybody, was probably happy with what the president did. But for those of them who were in the National Assembly, awarding them, what did you make of that?
So, to be honest, if you check my Twitter timeline, you also see my comment about the honors. I had said that I'm happy that the president did honor those Nigerians. However, there were certain other Nigerians that I felt he should have honored, people who put their lives on the line. We're talking about, former labor activist Chima Ubani. He put his life on the line. In fact, he died. He died in I like to say on active duty. I would have thought he would have honored Professor Chidi Odinkalu, because these guys put their lives on the line. I also would have thought that he would have honored Dele Momodu, who, in my opinion, not just in my opinion, but in the opinion of many people who know the relationship of Dele Momodu and Chief MK Abiola, I thought he would have also honored him, but I'm sure politics got in the way, and that is why someone like Are Dele Momodu was not honored. I also felt that he would have honored Showore, because, to be honest, Showore also played his own part, even though I don't agree with Showere's politics and views on national views most times, But there are also certain
spearheading protests. You were aware of the Take It Back movement that was spearheading protests across some states in the country.
Even as a student, so the president should have honored him. So they were setting other people, but let me not dwell on that. I would rather want to dwell on the issues. And what are the issues? The issues here is, are we moving forward? Have we made any progress from where we are coming from in 1999? And in 1999, after General Abdul Salam handed over power to General Obasanjo retired, have we made progress? People will argue that we've made progress, but I would say that the progress we've made is relative. Relative in the sense that you still have journalists arrested and locked up for doing their jobs, right? Relative in the sense that you still have people who go to the street to protest getting arrested and locked up by the police and security officials and charged to court for spurious allegations, by the DSS and the security officials. Now, have we made progress in that sense? I would say we've not made progress. We've not made progress. We should be moving forward. Look, Nigeria is actually an embarrassment to the black nation. We've failed the black man. We failed the black race. We shouldn't be where we are as a country, if we were serious.
Now, Lemchi, let's talk about the honors in terms of the purpose for which, you would expect that they were established. This is more of a way to inspire civic engagement when many Nigerians feel disconnected from governance. When people see some of these people being honored, whether they are dead or they are alive, it inspires this form of patriotism. We want to fight to have democracy and its dividends.
I'm sorry for cutting in. I'm sorry for cutting. I disagree with you. Look, there was a time when we all, even me when I was a boy, I used to look forward to those honors lists. But right now, it's been bastardized. It's not something you share. It's like where you call for bazaar. It's now a thing of bazaar. You share it to. It's an all commerce affair. For goodness sake, we saw General Buhari, giving one of his aides, Bashir Ahmad, honors for on what purpose? So all those things have been bastardized, and that is why you saw people like Chimamanda rejecting all those honors. You see people like the late literary titan, rejecting such honors. Reason is because these honors have become politicized. They've been bastardized. There is now like bazaar, where an all commerce affair where you now give anybody you see or anybody you like, you just dash them the honor. So I don't have any regards for the honors. If you are looking for my opinion about the honors, if as a matter of
You
fact, someone
recall
like me,
that
if you give me
Chimamanda is somebody that openly supported Peter Obi, so perhaps there could be political undertones to why she won't turn down an award.
The Chinua Achebe support Peter Obi from the grave. The Chinua Achebe support Peter Obi from the grave. I mean, we need to be serious as a country. When you give honor, the honor, and you look at the person you're giving the honor to, we should look at the person and aspire to be like the person. The person's life should inspire my children, should inspire their children. Let me ask you, who among the people that we've been giving honors in the last 8-10 years will you look at and say, well, I would like my child to be like this person? Because they've all been unraveling. All of them have been unraveling.
Okay, Lemchi, let's move further now. Of course, the president made a form of mockery of the opposition. Does this rhetoric risk polarizing Nigeria further?
Well, I don't think it risks polarizing Nigeria further. Look, man, there is hunger in the land, right? And you and I know that the fastest and easiest way to get rich in Nigeria of today is to become a government contractor. What my government and political science lecturer, Professor Aja Poraja, used to call comprado bourgeoisie. That's what we have in Nigeria. People who live in Abuja and make money off Abuja. They rent hotels and stay in Abuja to get contracts. That is the easiest way to make money. So anybody who would come and tell the president, oh, you are the next best thing to happen to Nigeria after agege bread, the president will listen and give the person contract, because that's what is involved. That's how to become rich. And of course, those contracts, many of them are not taxable. So issues, it doesn't in any way polarize the opposition or the country. However, I expect the opposition to begin to get their acts together. A party like PDP should do away with people like Wike and other fifth columnists working to disintegrate the party.
Okay, all right. If we have Abana, he could join in the conversation right now. I do hope he's back, but if he's not back with us, that's fine. So let's quickly head to our poll. Lemchi, we normally have a poll that we will put up just to engage with our audience and get their feedback. So let's have that poll now. And the question we asked on our X platform, we asked, do you believe President Tinubu's Democracy Day address strengthens Nigeria's democratic commitment? And the poll result is out. 28.6% say yes strongly, and 14.3% says yes somewhat, and no, not at all, 57.1%. That's almost more than half. So let's get your reactions to our polls from our viewers back at home and on social media. Lemchi, what are your thoughts?
The fact speaks for itself, right? The fact speaks for itself. Look, anybody who tells you the country is moving in the right direction is not telling you the truth. There are only two people that will tell you the country is moving in the right direction: people who are benefiting from the country, and people who are benefiting indirectly from the chaos in the country. Are you getting my point? Those are the people who will tell you, well, the country is moving in the right direction. How do you know or say a country is moving in the right direction when you have the greater majority of your people living below poverty line? How do you say your country is moving in the right direction when people cannot drive from Owerri to, say, Lagos without pleading the blood of Jesus Christ from Ama JK all the way to Bagada or wherever they want to go to in Lagos. How do you say that the country is moving forward or moving in the right direction when every day people are running from their houses in Benue State? How do you say the country is moving in the right direction when every day people are running from their houses in Plateau State? Do you get where I'm going to now?
Yeah,
Those are the
I am
issues.
following what you're saying. But when they
How
say
do we
that
see the country is
the
moving
economy,
forward when in
Lemchi,
River
are you there with
State
me?
you have the military?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Go ahead,
So
please.
when they say that the country is on the right path, it may not really mean like we're there yet, but I mean the results on paper don't really equate what is in reality. I think that's the case probably that you're trying to make, Lemchi.
If your child goes to school and comes back from school at the end of the term with his school result, right? And you look at the result, and with all the investments you've made in that child, the child comes back with, say, 97 out of 100. And you ask the child, did you score 97 out of 100? And the child tells you, look, Daddy, thank God I wasn't even 100 out of 100 in class. I was 97 out of 100. Will you say that is progress, my brother? That is not progress. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Lemchi. Well, let's take a quick break. We'll come back to the conversation. But thank you so much for helping us out in the absence of Nnamdi Abana, who was actually booked for this conversation. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, and then the conversation that we booked you for, we'll definitely get into it. Talking about pathways towards bettering Nigeria's democracy. Stay with us.
What makes the political system what it is today? What are the recurring issues? The tussle for power.
An extremely problematic area.
The tension. The instability of the system. Join LM 24/7 as we take you inside the local and international political arena in the world of politics.
The golden age of America begins right now. I will very simply put America first.
Watch Politics Now on LM 24/7.
Don't miss Politics Now on LN 24/7.
Welcome back to Politics Now Special. Nigeria's 26-year democratic journey has seen gains, but challenges like electoral flaws and insecurity persist. Well, joining us back again to chart pathways forwards is political strategist Lemchi Chidi. And we also have word that Nnamdi Abana is back with us. Hopefully we have a better connection. But this time around, we're focusing on strengthening electoral integrity. Okay, so we have a card, a graphic card that details, the things we want to look at it in terms of what we need to do to strengthen our electoral integrity. Can we have the card up? Oh, that's so beautiful. So we'll start with the first chart there. You can see the backgraphs of voter turnout from 1999, 2015, and 2023. So from 52 to 44% to 27%, it means that something needs to be done. So Lemchi, Nigeria's elections have improved since 1999, but the 2023 polls were criticized for irregularities with only 27% voter turnout, and of course I mean, it's been, a lot of people will say we've been having this journey backwards. And I mean, I know this current 10th Assembly is working on electoral reform bills. We've seen so many moves by CSOs to push for the National Assembly to ensure, like the just concluded South Africa elections, where in real time we could see the results right there on the screen. That's an African nation like ours. So that's something that, we would love to see, but we've not really seen the passion, from this government. It's not a problem of the government now, so to speak, but more of the legislative arm of government. So what specific reforms? Now, I know we've talked on some of the challenges and of the problems, and we can also have a banner on split with us so that we could talk through this with just the few minutes we have on the show. What specific reforms, suggested reforms include electronic voting, INEC autonomy, that could restore trust in our elections?
So, if we are serious, I mean, I just heard you say we've made progress in our electoral system, and I chuckle because I don't know what progress. Olufalaye was on a television station on June 12th, and he said he won the elections. He saw the results, but that elections was manipulated in favor of General Obasanjo, right? Not my words, his words. That's what he said on air. I watched the interview. After Obasanjo, we had Yaradua, who came into power and said the election that brought me, that delivered me as president, was flawed and marred by irregularities. I'm going to do something to fix it. And true to the man's word, he started doing something to fix it, right? A report was given on the way forward. What has happened to that report is somewhere there in Abuja gathering dust. Now, we had a fine gentleman, unfortunately, he was voted out of power, who felt, look, I want to write my name in gold. And then he began to do things properly with INEC, bringing Jega and all that to clean up the entire process. He has actually written his name in gold. Whether Jonathan likes it or not, he'll be remembered as the president who didn't go to court after losing election and bowed and left office honorably, in dignity, right? But the process of that entire election, his may have been, fantastic. But remember, there were pockets of violence and all that in various places. After that, we had another election that was marked by irregularities. Major irregularities. Then we had another election that at the end of the day said they couldn't upload because server was down, blah blah blah. And then you had major irregularities also in that one. So it begs the question: are we moving forward? But I don't want to dwell on all that. I want to dwell on how do we remedy the situation, right?
Yeah.
If we want to remedy the situation, the first thing will be for INEC to be independent. INEC says it's independent. We know INEC is still, tied to the whims and caprices of the executive branch of government. For INEC to be independent, their money or allocation should be part of what is called the first line charge. In other words, it shouldn't be dependent on the executive. It should be independent of the executive, giving them autonomy to plan election, execute election, and also call out results free of influence, political influence, and all that. That's one. Two, the process of picking an INEC chairman should become a little more transparent. Currently, it's not transparent. It's still shrouded in mystery. I mean, we've had people claim that the current INEC leadership is sympathetic to a particular political party. That shouldn't be the case. Now, thirdly, we shouldn't be, this is 2025 for goodness sake, and we shouldn't be struggling or still debating whether e-voting is what we should be doing. Look, Mana, where I live, election took place last month. I didn't even know that the election took place. Many people didn't even know the election took place because there was no ballot box snatching. People just walked in, cast their vote, and went back to continue with the business of the day. At the end of the day, which was in the evening, we already knew who was going to be the president. Look,
Thank
This
you
is
so much,
Otedola breed, the
Mr.
famous Otedola breed.
We are not here to beg, but we are here to fight for our rights.
Hello, Lemchi, can you hear me? Okay, all right. So we have one that Abana is live with us. I would just love to bring him in. Mr. Abana, thank you so much for being with us. I'm sure you've been following the conversations, and if you could just let us in on your thoughts. Hello, Abana, are you with us? Okay, Lemchi, please go ahead.
saying that India, with a population of over 1 billion people, will cast their votes, and you will know that, look, this is who is going to win the elections. There's nothing like violence. There's nothing like ballot box snatching. There's nothing, no such thing. But we are a country of just little 250 million people, yet we can't even conduct a simple local government election. A simple local government election. So we should be talking about e-voting. It should form the basis for, in fact, it should be the basic thing in the going into a new election. Not Supreme Court coming to say or give rulings that it's up to INEC to decide how they want to conduct elections. We will not grow as a country that way. We will not grow as a country that way. It bothers me, and I keep saying this, that I don't want a country where my children, will come on television stations and they are still talking about the same thing, I was talking about, or various other people have been complaining about. We should be making progress. So e-voting should form part of it. People in the diaspora should be allowed to vote.
Of course, that's also up for discussion at the National Assembly regarding the amendment. But let's move forward with this conversation now. We've talked about the heroes of our democracy, but of course, there was a particular here on our station where we talked about the dreams and aspirations of our heroes past, those who fought for the independence of Nigeria. When they look back today, and there's a picture that they had for Nigeria. Talking about the dividends of democracy, what can you make of how we can address the issue of insecurity? I think that's first on the list, because it is someone who is alive that can eat food, and then also the issue of economic hardship, as well as corruption and accountability, because I think these are key metrics with which you could measure if the country is truly enjoying the dividends of democracy. So just go ahead, Lemchi.
So look, on the issue of insecurity, for example, we should start funding our military to be able to acquire modern day, military hardwares and equipment. Look, let me just give you an example. I'm not sure Nigeria still has F-18s. I'm not sure. But I'm very sure we have Tucanos. Do you know when Tucanos, were deployed in warfare? Tucanos were deployed in warfare during World War II. Those are archaic things. We're talking about F-18s and modern day military hardwares. So Nigeria is very rich, yet so poor. We are so rich that we can, if we manage our resources judiciously, we can fund our military. We can get the best of us to join the armed forces. And by that, I mean the military, police, navy, and all that. We will attract the best. If we are paying good salaries, we will attract the best in all these, in the armed forces. But because we are not attracting the best, morale is very low. And because morale is very low, nobody's interested in doing a little more in tackling insecurity. Everything about tackling insecurity ends on television and on paper. But until we begin to fund the armed forces and begin to raise the bar so that we can attract the best of us to join the armed forces, my brother, believe you me, 5 years from today, we'll still be having conversations about insecurity. That's
All
one.
right,
Two,
Lemchi,
there
if you
should be
could hold on just
consequences.
for a second, let me bring in Nnamdi Abana, who's been so patient with us, trying to polish up his networks. Thank you so much for being with us, Abana. Now, we brought you here tonight to join the conversation, talking about the president's speech and all of that, but because of time, we've gone way past all of that, thanks to Lemchi, who shared his thoughts. But I know you've prepared a lot of things, so I'll just allow you to reflect on your thoughts on the president's speech, and we're talking about the path forward towards having a better democracy, you know, that every Nigerian can be proud of. And you heard Lemchi there talk about the issue of addressing insecurity. So I'll just give you your time now to just walk us through your thoughts.
Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
All right, the Democracy Day celebration in Nigeria.
Hello, Abana, are you there? Okay, I guess your network is still kind of a challenge. We do hope we can come back to you quickly. So let's get back to Lemchi. Thank you so much for pulling through with us. We're looking at promoting inclusive political participation, which is something that is very important. Several times we've seen youths crying out loud for, you know, opportunities to be in governance. And of course, this administration loves to pride itself in terms of involving youths. I mean, we have a Ministry of Youths now, no longer sports and youth. So it's together. So if we could pull up that graphic again, I think we've got something there that shows us the intensity and the seriousness of the issue of the need to promote inclusiveness, because that's what democracy is all about. We need more voices, especially from women and youth, who make up less than 4% and 10% of political representation. So there is it. You can see it. It's just so glaring. So now, Lemchi, coming back to you, what initiatives like quotas or funding could boost participation from marginalized groups? I mean, you talk about marginalization. I don't know if you followed the whole saga of the Lagos State House of Assembly, where Obasa was, you know, removed, impeached, so to speak, and then Miranda came on board. Then the whole issue of Natasha and her allegations, and then her suspension. So it just kind of make us wonder if women truly have a space in politics, and democracy gives room for inclusion of marginalized groups. So what are your thoughts on how that can be addressed?
Before I talk about women, let me talk about youth. I find it, you know, laughable, hilarious, to be honest, when I hear youths are not allowed to participate in politics. That's a farce, and I'll tell you why. How old was Oju Zokalo before, when he became governor of Abia State? How old was Donald Duke when he became governor of Cross River State? How old was what's his name now? James Ibori, when he became the governor of Delta State? How old was Andy Oba when he became special advisor to domestic duties to President Obasanjo? Let me continue. How old was Bukola Saraki when he was special advisor to President Obasanjo? How old were all these people? So when we talk about youths are not allowed to participate in, let me even also go take it a little further before I now say my thought. How old was Salisu Buhari? If you remember Salisu Buhari, the age scandal. Remember the former Speaker of the House of Representatives that was kicked out of office because of he falsified his age. How old was he when he rose to become Speaker of House of Representatives? How old was Professor Pato Tommy when he became advisor to Shehu Shagari and Alex Ekwebe? How old was Oyi of Oyi? And I'm talking about one of the best senior presidents we've ever had, Chuba Okadibo, when he became special advisor in the 80s. Young people have always participated in politics. How old was Gowon when he became president? How old was all those Theophilus Danjuma? How old were they when they got into government? We may argue that they shot their way into office. But how old were all those their political appointees and those after them? Young people have always participated in politics, but young people have not learned the act of managing politics. They've not learned the act of managing political positions. They've not learned the act of managing political offices. Rather, when they get in there, they begin to, continue in the trajectory of the older generation, which is mismanagement of resources that we are grappling with. So I don't believe that young people don't get the opportunities to participate in politics. They do get the opportunities, but they mismanage it. Talking about women, unfortunately, have not been given adequate opportunity to participate in our political development. And the reason is because Nigeria is largely, or rather the African society, if I may put it that way, is largely a patriarchal society, where men are seen as the lords and the leaders and the head, and women are seen as subordinates whose place is in the kitchen and of course in the bed and also in the bedroom. So going forward, I think political parties should make it a priority to say, look, we will not only tell women to pick forms free of charge, but we will say that we have a policy that says 50% of our candidates must be women, whether you like it or not. That's the way we will begin to make proper development in terms of inclusion, gender inclusion in politics. So I actually feel for the women, but talking about young people, look, bro, we had series of opportunities for young people to be.
When you talk about young people, do you think it's just about desire? Because a lot of times we'll say, okay, go out and protest, and then they come out to protest. You saw the End SARS protest, you saw the End Bad Governance protest, you saw the Restore Fubara protest, and all of that. Despite all of that effort, would you say it's not enough? Because how will the youth take their place to ensure that democracy thrives?
Look, that's what I keep saying. Young people are taking their place. Let me just give you an example. For example, go to social media. Who are the young people? Who are the people supporting those mismanaging our funds?
But those on social media are actually using that platform to make a case, to challenge the government of the day.
They are using the platform to get invitation to at the dining table of national resources, which is exactly what's going on. I can give you names, I can call names, but it's not in my place to do all that. They get invited to the dining table of national resources, and then they begin to cut their share. And also invite cronies to participate in the cutting of their shares. Look, my point I'm making is this. Generally speaking, we don't like bad governance. We only hate that we are not participating in the act of bad governance. And that is why we are where we are today, until we begin to find young people who truly love Nigeria like Herbert Macaulay did. And he went all the way to the east and got an Igbo man to come and become, an influence in his political party. We won't be making any headway. That is the point I'm trying to get you to understand. Young people have had series of opportunities, but young people have mismanaged and misused those opportunities. And until we keep misusing those opportunities, we will never make any headway as a country or as a group, and this is me talking about young people. So please, let's stop saying young people don't have a place. How do we bring in young people to participate? Young people have always participated in governance. The young people are the ones who mismanage governance. In fact, young people are the ones who have brought the nation.
It seems as if I'm on the defense of the youths. But what is your take? Do you feel that there is so much gatekeeping in terms of how youths can participate? Because for you to be a part of the democratic process, you need a platform, which is a political party. On Thursday, President Bola Tinubu said he is in no way preventing anybody from registering a political party. So how does that play in? Because you have gatekeepers. I don't like to use the word godfatherism, but it is a reality in Nigerian politics. So with all of that in place, sort of gatekeeping the process for which youths can come out to, and most times when you find young people coming to these platforms, you know, they have to submit themselves in terms of be loyal to a particular godfather or not. So with this in mind, do you still think that the system is still favorable for Nigerian youths to be a part of the process?
I will stick to my guns, and that is my guns being that nobody has prevented young people from participating in governance in the country. Nobody. And I've given you series of examples, living examples, and even dead examples. Professor Patu Tommy is there. Ask him, how old was he when he became special advisor to a president? He's there. He's alive. You can invite him to your show and ask him. You understand? So young people have always, I've given you Ojus Okalo. How old was he when he became governor of Abia State? He's there. He's alive. Bring him to your show. I've given you Donald Duke. How old was he? Look, we've always had young people participating in the political development of Nigeria. What we've not had is young people who truly love the country, who don't see the country as a rent state to be milked from. That is the challenge we have.
All right,
So,
Lemchi, thank you so much for sharing with us your thoughts with us on the show. So I believe
I wish I
Nigerian
could
youths
share
are
more. Thank
watching,
you so much.
and I hope they take to your words, because the future of our nation's democracy will depend on them. Thank you so much for being with us on the show tonight.
Thank you. You have a great day. Bye.
Okay, so let's head back to our X poll and take some of your thoughts on our poll. We asked Nigerians the question, what's the most urgent step to strengthen Nigeria's democracy? And the options we gave: electoral reform, tackling insecurity, inclusive participation, and okay, do we have the poll? That's the wrong poll. If we could have the second one back. Okay, yes, that's it. So electoral reform, 75%, tackling insecurity, 25%, inclusive participation, that's our last talking point. Well, nobody agrees with that. So electoral reform first. So let's go to my take on the Tinubu's Democracy Day address, which is, I think it's very important for me to just put this out there. Nigeria's 26 years of democracy is a milestone worth celebrating, but it's also a moment for sober reflection. President Tinubu's Democracy Day address promised a steadfast commitment to multi-party governance, yet the opposition's warnings of authoritarian drift cannot be ignored. No, not at all. Actions, not words, will prove his intent, whether through transparent governance or addressing the 27% voter turnout that signals public disillusionment. What is the president doing about that? The honors bestowed on democratic heroes reminds us of the sacrifices that birthed this era. But they must inspire action and not just sentiment, especially when 33% of our people live in poverty. Tinubu's sharp rhetoric against the opposition may energize his base, but unity, not division, is what Nigeria needs. And now to my take on pathways to a stronger democracy. Looking forward, the path to a stronger democracy lies in bold reforms. Electoral integrity must be non-negotiable. INEC's autonomy and electronic voting could restore trust. Insecurity, with over 10,000 kidnappings in recent years, demands innovative solutions like state police, paired with accountability to curb corruption. And we must open the political space for women and youth, whose underrepresentation weakens our democratic fabric. Social media, with its growing reach, offers a platform for change, but only if we pair it with civic education. Nigeria's democracy is resilient but fragile. Let's protect it by demanding more from our leaders and ourselves, and most importantly, our local representatives. Do you know your local representative? Do you know who your local government chairman is? Do you know who your House of Rep member is? Do you know your senators? Do you know that they are accountable to you? No, perhaps you're hearing that for the first time. Yes, emphatically yes, they are accountable to you. Hold them accountable today. Well, that's all for Politics Now. Join the conversation on our X platform. Our social media is scrolling down on your screen. Be sure to follow us. Also log on to our website, www.ln247.news, for more great story reporting and programs. Once again, my name is Moino Balagwe, thanking you for watching our 26 years of democracy in Nigeria special. Good night.